So let's jump right in. All right. So, tip number one that we list is encouraging people in private. All right. So, encouraging others in private definitely allows you, as well as the other person that you're encouraging, to, kind of drop your guards a little bit and really be authentic. Um, and especially it kind of allows you to avoid running the risk of maybe looking like you're trying to encourage somebody in a public setting just for like the notoriety or just for the favor of the group, right? So sometimes when you take people aside just one on one and you're able to say, hey, I really appreciate, your thank you. Somebody's saying definitely so true. Good. I'm glad that you're agreeing. Um, pulling somebody aside one on one allows you to kind of like really be genuine, and just say, hey, I really see what you're doing. I notice, what a great contributor you are. I notice really what you bring to the table. Keep doing a great job. Keep doing more of this, right? And I think what we found out is that kind of leaves room for people to say, wow, that person actually like acknowledged me, like really acknowledged me and said, hey, I see you. And that's what most people want, right? You want to be seen. People want to know that they are actually not falling into the cracks and being unnoticed, right? So by pulling somebody aside in private, one just shows that you took the time and the care to pull them aside, say what you needed to say, and I'm sure that your delivery can be a lot more authentic and real in that one-on-one setting. And you never know when it may open up the door for somebody to communicate with you a little bit further about, maybe their issues regarding performance or whatever it is that you're commenting on, right? So it may open up the door for further conversation in a real way. So hopefully that definitely helps, encouraging people in private. And don't discount the public setting, because there definitely is a time and place to comment and to encourage people in public, but in private just really allows you, again, a chance for that real authentic connection with somebody. So before we go on to point number two, I just wanted to say hey to everybody that's in the room. If you're just jumping on, I'm going over the 5 tips or 5 ways that you can encourage other people, literally starting today. So if you would be so kind, if you find value in the information, give me hearts, just tap that screen and share this with your networks, all right? So just slide up and then slide to the right. If you have iOS, slide up for Android, share it with your followers so that we can just keep the conversation going and give this information to people that may be looking for it right at this very moment. So thanks for doing that in advance, and I'm gonna roll on to tip number 2, okay? So tip number 2, thank you for writing that. Yes, encourage in private. So that's number 1, guys. Screenshot moment, if anybody needs to take a screenshot of our tips. Tip number 2 is use questions like, do you think you can have this submitted by Friday morning? So asking questions really allows other people to be involved in the conversation, right? It kind of gives them that say so. So again, when you're encouraging somebody, maybe when you have a big project due, or maybe you're working on a big team presentation, or you're doing something together as a family that involves many different parts and everybody's responsible for their own part, by asking somebody, hey, when can you have this done by, or do you think you can have this done by X date? That allows them, again, to be a part of the conversation and let you know what to expect. All right, so it kind of like takes pressure off a little bit. And you guys can tell me whether you've experienced this or not, or whether you know this to be true. But a lot of times I think people just get overwhelmed, particularly when it comes to, things in their business, and you're just trying to do so much and you're trying to make a lot of headway, right? But it can sometimes just get overwhelming when you have a lot on your plate. So it's not that people are, not well-intentioned. It's just that they have so much to do, and it's just the pressure that kind of sets in, right? So just to give you guys an example, when the 3 of us, meaning myself, my twin sister, and my mother, if we're getting ready for a presentation or we're getting ready for an event or something, usually one person is in the driver's seat. That's just what works for us. We let one person kind of lead the events. And that way it's like one person has like master control, right? And they're keeping everybody else kind of in the loop, and they're keeping everybody else on track. So what that person who's in the driver's seat usually does is they go to everybody else and they say, hey, when can I expect your deliverable? We know that we're looking at a hard date of, let's just say October 23rd, right? So they'd say, Dejan, when can you have, all of our infographics done? When do you think that you'll have the slide presentation ready and all set to go? And when I'm asked that kind of question, I can come back with a response based on my own timeline, based on my own schedule, right? And it's realistic for me. So in no way can I go back and, say, hey, well, you pressured me into getting it done in like 2 days. And, I had a mountain of things to do and I didn't have time to get it done. So I can't come back with an excuse like that. I can only say I can get it done on this time and I can actually, let people know something that's realistic to all of the things that I have going on in my life. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's also another great way to work with people that, you're not family with, somebody that you're not like super, super tight with, and it kind of like relieves the tension that could be formed if somebody doesn't deliver something on time, right? So thank you for recapping that again, Ms. Kelly and Maryland. Ask questions, okay? So again, questions like, do you think you can have this submitted by X date, right? So definitely try that, guys, when you're, planning a group presentation, maybe in your direct sales business, or maybe when you're teaming up with somebody that's in your niche to do like a webinar or something like that, right? Ask them questions of when they can get things done as it pertains to your goal, okay? So you guys, are you ready for tip number 3? All right, I'm ready to give it to you. Show me some hearts if you're ready to hear it. I saw some people like go out and come back in, so I'm not sure if that's a connection issue. Sometimes it means that people are losing their connection. So I see some hearts, I see some green hearts, some yellow hearts. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna keep going. And you guys can find all this full article and all these tips on our blog at asideofchange.com. So I'll say it again at the end. So if you missed something, you can go to our blog and check it all out there. So number 3, all right? When you want to encourage somebody, this can be totally, totally helpful, is explaining their value, all right? Who doesn't want to hear something positive about themselves, right? We all want to hear how we're valued, why we are an integral part of a team, if you're talking about business. Why we make such a big impact in our families. If you're trying to encourage somebody that's in your family, whether it's a spouse, your kids, maybe a parent even, So when I mean explaining their value, don't be shy when it comes to giving affirmations like, you're the best social media expert that we have on our team, right? That could be something, that you could use if it's in business. You're the best at making authentic connections when it comes to networking events, right? So maybe you have somebody on your team that just kills it when you go and you do something in public and they're making relationships because they just they may be one of those like natural connectors, They may be one person that can go into a room full of people and walk out with a million friends and a million genuine contacts because that's just what they do best. That's what comes natural. So you want to praise those things, you want to tell people, hey, I see what you're doing and I see your value in this area. Keep doing more of the same, right? That's a big boost of encouragement. Maybe if it's somebody in your family, like a sibling, maybe it's, hey, I love how you're always able to, keep the peace and represent everybody's opinion or everybody's point of view when it comes to dealing with, family decisions or family conflict, right? Sometimes that makes people just feel validated. And I think validation is huge, right? Everybody needs that, to feel important, to keep on doing what they're doing. So try that. Explain somebody's value, all right? Even somebody that you work with, it may seem kind of small or, maybe not that important, but you may work with somebody all the time and maybe in your head you notice all these great qualities that person has, right? Validation is definitely major for sure. Take the time to tell them, I've had a lot of people throughout time, they just stop and they just say something nice and it makes you feel so good. And you're like, wow, it's because they really didn't have to go out of their way to say something or say, hey, I always love that you're smiling, or I always love that, you keep the conversation really positive. So again, think about the people that you're around on a daily basis, whether it's on your personal team, whether it's at your job, whether it's in your family. Let people know their value. All right. People need to hear it. It's really important. All right, guys, fourth thing. All right. We're almost done. There's only five. Or at least there's only five on my list. I'm sure you can come up with tons more. So, number 4 is agree with their feelings. All right. And thank you for the hearts. I love them. I love the way they float up the screen. I appreciate the love. It lets me know that you guys are getting the information and that it's actually helpful. So thank you. So agreeing with their feelings. All right. Sometimes just nodding your head, and just being like, yeah, I get that. And just listening, right? Sometimes just agreeing with somebody's feelings can make them feel like relief, right? It can take the pressure off. It can make them really feel like they're being heard just for you, just to agree with their feelings. And don't confuse this with agreeing with maybe like how they're going to go about solving their problem or how they're going to act, right? Agreeing with somebody's feelings. Exactly. Thank you again for writing that. Screenshot moment for anybody that needs that, right? Agreeing with their feelings, again, gives them an opportunity to be heard. And it also gives you an opportunity to come in later and give some advice or give a helpful resource. All right. So try to avoid the temptation of, saying something like, it's not that bad, or, just get over it, it'll be fine, or, it's not that serious, just ignore it, right? So don't say anything like that, because if somebody is feeling something, again, perception is reality, right? So if they are perceiving something to be a certain way, you have to know that that's real, and then that's how they feel. So if they think that something's hard, let's just say you're a team leader, right? You're telling your team to go and do like 3 strategic things daily. And if somebody is coming to you and they are, I don't want to say complaining, but maybe if they're just expressing to you how difficult it is for them to get something done, and you're in your mind thinking, well, all you have to do is like make time for it. Wake up in the morning 10 minutes early and do it, or carve 10 minutes out of your lunch break and, do your things then, right? Don't do that. At that point, just listen to their feelings, come back later after you've had a chance to listen and agree with their feelings, then give them resources. All right. And, again, depending on the type of situation or depending on how close you are with that person, that may kind of, that may inform how involved you get with, maybe the resolution for that. But one thing that we've definitely found, and I'll speak for my sister and I, is that most people are really receptive to like third-party resources. So one thing that we like to do is we like to give small books. All right. So again, it's very little for us, it doesn't take a lot of effort on our part to go pick up like a really small resource. And I'll tell you what it is in just a second. Just to give people, just to encourage them. One, it's like, hey, I did take your issue seriously. I heard your feelings, and here's how I think this tool or this resource may help you deal with it. Right? Because we don't have all the answers. We want to comfort people. But sometimes that comfort or those resources or those how-tos aren't going to come directly from us, but maybe we can facilitate that by giving somebody a resource. So a lot of times when we're dealing with somebody and they're either maybe frustrated in their faith or they're really excited about their faith, we like to give this one book called The Prayer of Jabez. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that resource at all, but it's a teeny pocket-sized book, really small. And we just find that it's just a great, encouraging book that people can read over and over again. So we've given this to countless people. It's kind of like our go-to when we know that somebody is aligned with our faith and somebody's expressing an issue that pertains to faith, we give them that book. So whether that's in business, whether that's in just life, whether that's, friends at church, or people that we meet randomly in the street, we give this book. Just recently, actually, my twin gave it to a guy that was in the subway. And, he's a guy that is always maybe there once a month when we got off the A train. And, again, she's in New York. And, we rotate kind of being in Savannah or New York. And so this guy is just always praying for people, giving uplifting words. And it's awesome. And 2 times he caught us on days that we really needed prayer. He stopped, he prayed with us. It was uplifting. It was just so encouraging. And I said, wow, I want to encourage what he's doing. I love how he's reaching out to people, how he's ministering and spending his time. And so we came back and we gave him just this little book, The Prayer of Jabez, right? And so that's just to say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. We see you, we validate your efforts, and we want this to encourage you. And it's our way of saying thank you. So again, you guys think of your own, methods and your own ways to come back with resources that are going to help people after you've already agreed with their feelings. So hopefully that was helpful and not too long. So guys, number 5, this is an easy and a hard one at the same time, okay? Number 5 is just let them talk. Just that simple, right? Or it seems simple, but sometimes it can be really difficult to do. Just let the other person talk. And I know it's hard because you want to jump in. You want to solve the problem, right? You want to create solutions. You want to comfort that person. And that's a good sign because that means that you're human. That means that you have a heartbeat. That means that that you're genuinely interested in somebody else's problem, but really just let somebody talk, let them express their frustrations and just keep listening because sometimes people just need somebody to listen.